everyone, it's me Shanty and you're watching Biology Nowadays. In this video, we will learn about Angiosperms, the members of the fifth group coming under plant kingdom. Angiosperms or the flowering plants comprise of the largest number of species of any plant group. They are presently the dominant plants on Earth. They can be found in an extremely wide range of habitats, from saltwater to freshwater and from tropics to the polar regions. They range in size from tiny, almost microscopic wolffia to tall eucalyptus trees, which reach up to a height of 100 meters. The largest angiosperm is a banyan tree called the Great Banyan. It is located in the Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose Indian Botanic Garden at Howrah, near Kolkata. The Great Banyan Tree looks more like a forest than an individual tree. It is more than 250 years old and spread over an area of about 1.6 hectares with more than 3,500 prop roots. Prop roots are pillar-like roots which give support to its heavy stem branches. Angiosperms are vascular plants. Their main plant body is diploid and sporophyte. Now, before we proceed with angiosperms, I strongly suggest you to watch my previous lecture on gymnosperms because this will make things much easier to understand. Okay, let's go on. You know that gymnosperms have reproductive structures called cones. Male cones which bear pollen grains and female cones which bear ovules. In angiosperms, instead of cones, there are flowers. Most flowers are very attractive, but don't forget that there are a lot of flowers which may not be that attractive to our eyes. Mostly, pollen grains and ovules develop in the same flower. Such flowers are called bisexual flowers. In some cases, pollen grains and ovules develop in separate flowers. Such flowers are called unisexual flowers. Unlike the naked seeds of gymnosperms, here the seeds are enclosed in a fruit. The word angiosperm comes from two Greek words. Angion, meaning case or casing, that is a covering, and sperma, meaning seed. So angiosperm means enclosed seeds. Let us have a short look at the structure of flowers. The male reproductive parts of a flower are the stamens. Each stamen consists of a slender filament with an anther at the tip. Inside the anthers, haploid microspores are produced, which will develop into the male gametophytes called pollen grains. You already know about microsporophylls in gymnosperms, which bear microsporangia. Actually, stamens are the modified microsporophylls with microsporangia called anthers. All the stamens present in a flower is collectively called as androecium. Pollen grains from the anthers are released at a two-cell stage. They will have a vegetative cell and a generative cell. The female reproductive organ in a flower is the carpel. Carpel consists of stigma, a long style, and a basal ovary, inside which ovules are found. The presence of carpel is one of the most distinguishing features separating angiosperms from gymnosperms. Carpel is thought to have evolved by the fusion of the two edges of a flattened megasporophyll bearing ovules. During this process, ovules got enclosed. Carpel, or the female reproductive part of the flower, is called gynoecium. Sometimes there may be one or more carpels. This flower has only one carpel. Inside the ovary, usually many ovules can be seen. Here only one ovule is shown. Let's see the structure of the ovule and how it turns into a seed. If you have already watched the lecture on gymnosperms, you will find it easy to understand because it is somewhat similar to gymnosperms, but still there are some important differences. Like in the case of gymnosperms, one cell of the nucellus gets differentiated into a megaspore mother cell. The megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis division to form 4 haploid megaspores. Among the 4 haploid megaspores, only one becomes functional, others degenerate. The functional megaspore undergoes mitosis division to form a female gametophyte. In gymnosperms, this female gametophyte is called endosperm, whereas in angiosperms, the female gametophyte is termed embryo sac and not endosperm. The embryo sac has a 3-celled egg apparatus consisting of 1 egg cell and 2 synergids at the micropylar end of the ovule. Also 3 antipodal cells at the opposite side and 2 polar nuclei in the center. The 2 polar nuclei eventually fuse to produce a diploid secondary nucleus. Pollen grains, after dispersal from the anthers, are carried by wind, water, insects or other agencies to the stigma of the carpel. This transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma is termed pollination. The pollen grains on the stigma produce pollen tubes that will grow through the tissues of stigma and style and finally reach the ovule through the micropyle. By this time, in the pollen tube you can see the tube nucleus and 2 sperms. Do you know how the sperms are produced? It is the generative cell which divides into 2 sperms, that is male gametes, which are non-motile. The tube nucleus disintegrates. The synergids act like an attractant and a guiding cell for the pollen tube. When the pollen tube reaches the synergid, the pollen tube bursts off and discharges the sperms into one of the synergids. The synergids degenerate and one of the sperms reaches the egg. The sperm nucleus and the egg nucleus fuse to form a diploid zygote. This fusion of sperm and egg nuclei is called fertilization or syngamy. So, like gymnosperms, angiosperms also don't require water for fertilization to occur. In gymnosperms, we saw that out of the 2 sperms, only 1 sperm fuses with the egg and the other degenerates. Whereas in angiosperms, 1 sperm fuses with the egg and the other sperm fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus to produce a triploid primary endosperm nucleus. This is called triple fusion because it involved a total of 3 nuclei, 2 polar nuclei and 1 sperm nuclei. Thus, in an embryo sac, there occur 2 fusions by the sperms, one in syngamy, that is fusion of sperm with egg, and the other in triple fusion. And therefore, this phenomenon is called double fertilization. This is an event unique to angiosperms. The syngamy and triple fusion are equally responsible for the production of the viable seeds because absence of any of these 2 may lead to the formation of seeds that are not viable. The function of antipodal cells was to supply nutrition for the embryo sac and they will disintegrate after fertilization. The period between pollination and fertilization varies from plant to plant. Usually, this period varies from 12 to 48 hours. But in gymnosperms, we already learned that this time gap between pollination and fertilization is more than 1 year. The zygote develops into an embryo. The primary endosperm nucleus develops into the endosperm, which provides nourishment to the developing embryo. During these events, the ovules develop into seeds and the ovaries develop into fruits of different shapes and sizes. The embryo inside the seed will have 1 or 2 cotyledons. The cotyledons are the first leaves produced by plants. They are not considered as true leaves but as seed leaves because they are actually part of the seed or embryo of the plant. Angiosperms are divided into 2 classes based on the number of cotyledons in seeds. The dicotyledons or dicots and monocotyledons or monocots. The dicotyledons are characterized by having 2 cotyledons in their seeds while the monocotyledons have only 1. In dicots, the endosperm is all used up by the growing embryo and the cotyledons become thick and fleshy. Whereas in monocots, large amounts of endosperm is present and the cotyledon is thin. The embryo will grow into a young sporophyte, which will later on develop into a mature sporophyte, which produces flowers. So what we discussed until now can be represented as the life cycle of an angiosperm. Let's have a short look at the most important features of angiosperm. They are the dominant plants on Earth. They can be found in an extremely wide range of habitats. They are vascular plants. Their main plant body is diploid and sporophyte. They produce flowers and fruits. Their seeds are enclosed in an ovary. Double fertilization is a unique feature of angiosperms. The angiosperms have a number of uses as food, specifically as grains, vegetables, fruits, oils, nuts and spices. In addition, some of these plants and their products also serve a number of other needs such as dyes, fibers, timber, fuel, medicines and ornamentals. And that's all for this video. Thank you for being with me and stay tuned.